Welcome to Love in Life, a guide to a positive mindset. My aim is to show you that the key to a happier and more positive mind is to love the life you have. We will look at tips and tools you can use to improve your mindset, and the best thing is, we'll all be on this journey together. Hi, welcome to Love in Life. How are we all doing? How did you find last week's episode? I haven't heard any issues about audio or anything like that, because as I said, I did record it for YouTube, so the sound quality may have been slightly different. So please do let me know if you noticed any difference, and if it's any issues for you, please do let me know. I'm really not sure about this whole recording myself. I've got the lights on, it's shining right down on my tash, and I'm overdue a wax, but hey, can't help being perimenopausal. It all comes with the territory. So the thing I want to talk about today is, how do we know what frequency we're vibrating at? How can we be aware? Because none of us will ever really truly know. We might think we're vibrating at a high frequency, all those emotions like joy, pride, happiness, love. Those are high frequency emotions. And if I was to ask you, what do you think you vibrate at? Or what do you think you're aligned with? What emotion do you think you're aligned with? We would probably think of all the times that we're happy and excited. And you'd think, well, I know I would anyway, would think, yeah, I'm vibrating at a pretty high frequency. But are we really? And there's one way that is a good indication of how we are truly vibrating, of what frequency we are truly vibrating at. So yesterday, I had to take Hugo to the vets, and there was this guy in there. He came in and he asked for his pet's prescription, and the receptionist at the vets, she said, "Oh, we do require 24 hours notice for your for requests." And his response was quite, I wouldn't say he was angry, but he was just very miserable. He was like, "Oh, so I can't get it today then?" And obviously she explained herself again, and he just walked out. And it made me, that's what has inspired me talking about this today. It made me think that guy is on a low frequency. I think it's obvious how a good indication of how what your vibration truly is how you respond to things. So let me ask you a question. If you are driving the car and somebody pulls in front of you, or somebody speeds past you, what is your initial response? Is it to automatically feel the rage and feel like, what a dickhead? Because if it is, then that might be an indication that you are probably vibrating lower than you realize. If we're vibrating on a high frequency, then every single thought, every single reaction comes from a place of love. And so an example of how you would react in this situation would be, they're obviously having a bad day, or I hope they don't carry on driving like that. I hope they're going to be safe. Because I think it's easy for us to respond with anger, to respond with rage. And those are all very low frequency emotions. And it's actually really hard not to respond to those situations with those feelings. It's like taking responsibility for your own feelings of how you respond to something. I don't know if I'm making sense. But the guy in the vet yesterday, it just made me look at him and think, he must be quite sad. He must be, there must be something that he's quite unhappy about. For him to just not even acknowledge that, he didn't do anything wrong. He assumed that he'd be able to go and pick his prescription up straight away. He didn't realize, maybe they should have informed him when he phoned up originally to order it. Maybe they should have told him. And I think it's a good example of how we respond if somebody else makes a mistake, or if we make a mistake, or if we hear something that we don't want to hear, that doesn't suit us at that time, is how you respond to it. And that's a really good indication of the frequency that you're vibrating at. So if we're able to come from a place of understanding, of compassion, of yes, somebody might have got it wrong, somebody should have maybe told you. If we can come from a place of forgiveness and compassion, then if that comes naturally, then you probably are vibrating at a higher frequency. And we can take these examples on and just day-to-day situations in life to raise our vibration. So if you're aware that, okay, that driver who sped past you and nearly cut in front of you, he pissed you off earlier, and you stuck your fingers up to him when he drove past, and that's fine. That's how you dealt with the situation at the time. Be aware of how you are dealing with those situations, because by being aware of how you're dealing with it will help you recognize how, in order to raise your vibration, how you could deal with it next time. Like, come at that person with a place of compassion. Like, they must be having a really shit day to be driving like that. Yeah, our responses to situations are a really good indicator. So, some different situations that are good indicators are so if your kids do something to piss you off, if they haven't done what you've asked them to do, or if they've answered back to you, if your partner has, if you've had an argument with your partner, if they've done something to piss you off, if they've said something that you don't agree with, how do you respond in those situations? Like, in times of miscommunication, that can be really frustrating. But if you respond immediately with frustration, you're only seeing it from your point of view. You're not seeing it from the other person's point of view. And being open minded and empathetic is one of the quickest and easiest ways to raise our vibration. And I know that sounds easier than it is. Like, it takes a lot of practice to be able to respond like naturally. It takes a lot of practice to respond with understanding and empathy and compassion. If we're able to practice doing that time and time again, then the better we will become at naturally responding in those ways. And a great thing we can practice in order to be able to get better at doing this is to breathe before you respond to anything. So obviously, our initial thought, our initial probably subconscious reaction is what our true beliefs are, is what our true reaction is. But if you're wanting to change that and raise your vibration, then before you actually respond, you might have already had the initial feeling of frustration, of anger, of resentment. But before we allow that to come out of us, just breathe And just question if you can approach it from a place of understanding, from a place of seeing where the other person might be coming from or what they might be going through. Just remember that it's not just one situation that you respond to that determines what frequency you vibrate at. It's how you respond over time. And your frequency is going to change from minute to minute, from day to day, depending on how you respond to these situations. But it's your overall reaction is what determines your vibration. So the more we can practice stopping and thinking and breathing and thinking about how to respond, and then making that good practice to naturally respond in that way, that will eventually raise our vibration over time. And this is something that, I'm practicing all the time as well. And every now and again, I find myself responded to stupid drivers in an aggressive way. And I'm very aware when I do that. And it makes me think I obviously need to work on how I'm feeling. And, the thing I discussed last week about how we respond when we make mistakes, like how we forgive ourselves when we make mistakes. My initial reaction was to become defensive. Then it was like holding on to the guilt of letting that person down. And I held on to that guilt for a long time. Guilt is very low on the scale of vibrations, the emotions, the emotion chart. In fact, I think next week I might talk about that. I might talk about what the emotions are, what the scale is, because that would really help. But how you respond to those situations is what determines your overall vibration. And I think I am generally quite high vibration because I'm always positive and I'm always like, I do have a positive outlook on things. But sometimes my response to situations when someone's pissed me off or when I know I've done something wrong is very low vibration. It's something that we're constantly working on. Like when you're naturally always responding in the way that we desire, constant compassion, love, happiness, forgiveness for people. Like when that is genuinely our consistent natural reaction, that is when we know that we're really, truly, highly vibrating on a high vibration. And many of us have got a lot more work to do than we realize. And that's me included. But the key thing is being aware of how you feel in those situations. Okay, I'm going to leave it there because I am off to meet one of my listeners now. She's in London for the week and I am going to meet her. I'm so excited. I was absolutely privileged when she asked if we could meet up. So I am off to go and get on the train to London to meet her. Have an amazing week, and I'll catch up with you very, very soon. Lots of love. Bye.